What if we could actually get inside a hacker's head? What if we could teach our defenses to think just like them, and maybe even anticipate their next move? Well, today we're going to dive into a new AI that's trying to do exactly that, and believe me, it's a huge shift in how we think about cybersecurity.
So, let's start with why this is such a big deal. Take a look at this number, $8.64 million. That is the average cost of a single data breach. It's an absolutely staggering figure, and it really puts into perspective how high the stakes are in this constant digital battle.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the big picture, this costly digital war we're all in. Then we'll pinpoint a really critical gap in our defenses. After that, we'll get into the good stuff, the AI solution called ATT&CK-Link, how it actually learns, and how it was tested on real-world hospitals. And finally, we'll talk about what this means for the future. Right, so to even stand a chance in this fight, organizations rely on something called cyber threat intelligence, or CTI. The whole point of CTI is to take these gigantic mountains of data about hacker tools and vulnerabilities and, somehow turn it all into a real, actionable plan for defense.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Just having all that data isn't enough. There's this huge disconnect between the intelligence we gather and our ability to actually use it when an attack is about to happen.
Let me paint you a picture of the problem. A security team runs a scan, and it comes back with tens of thousands of potential weaknesses. For a person, that's just an impossible amount of information to sift through. It's like being told your house has thousands of unlocked windows, but having no clue which one the burglar is actually peering into. Where do you even start?
Now, to try and bring some order to that chaos, the entire industry leans on this master playbook, the MITRE ATT&CK framework. You can think of it as the ultimate encyclopedia of hacker moves. It details every known tactic and technique, from how they first get in all the way to their final objective. It's the official rulebook for cyber defense.
And this slide just lays out the gap perfectly. On one side, you've got the official playbook. It's structured, it's formal. And on the other, you have the raw intelligence from the wild, unstructured, chaotic, constantly changing. And for the longest time, there's been no good way to connect the two.
And that is exactly where ATT&CK-Link comes in. It's this new AI-powered tool designed specifically to be that missing bridge, to automatically connect the dots between what hackers are saying and doing on the ground and the structured defense plans we need to build.
You can see it right here in the researchers' own words. Their whole goal was to create a way to link what hackers are actually doing with those official strategies in the ATT&CK framework. It's all about taking that unstructured noise and turning it into clear, actionable intelligence.
Okay, but that brings up a really tough question, right? How on earth do you teach an AI to understand the super complex, jargon-filled, and sometimes deliberately confusing language that hackers use? Well, the solution they came up with is pretty darn clever. They used this really cool master-apprentice model. It's a process called knowledge distillation. Basically, they took two teacher AIs that were already experts, one in human language and one in computer code, and they had them train a brand new student AI. They taught it how to read and understand real-world hacker exploits. But this student AI isn't just a clone of its teachers. It's got this special upgrade called long short-range attention, or LSRA. And this is the secret sauce. It lets the AI see not just the tiny details, but also the big picture, how all those little lines of code fit together to create a full-blown attack. It can spot the blueprint that a human analyst might totally miss. So, the theory sounds incredible, but the real question is, does this thing actually work in the real world? To find out, the researchers took it and applied it to one of our most critical and most vulnerable sectors, healthcare. So what they did was scan the public networks of 5 major U.S. hospital systems to find all their existing vulnerabilities. Then, they unleashed ATT&CK-Link, feeding it thousands of real hacker exploits to see which of those hospital vulnerabilities were most likely to be targeted, and exactly how. Let's just zoom in on one of them, New York Presbyterian. At first glance, you see only 2% of their vulnerabilities were ranked as high severity. Almost everything else was medium or low. The kind of background noise that overworked security teams are often forced to just ignore. But this is where ATT&CK-Link really shines. It dug into all those overlooked medium severity issues and found a really common and dangerous pattern, something called
privilege escalation. That's where a hacker uses a small, seemingly minor entry point to get in and then grab high-level admin-style control. And, most importantly, the AI gave them a specific, actionable to-do list to stop it.
So now, the hospital security team can see the whole story of a potential attack before it even happens. It's like, okay, step 1, a hacker uses this web server to get a foothold. Step 2, they move sideways to a web portal. And step 3, they use another exploit to get past security and into the patient database. This isn't just a vague warning, it's a clear and present danger based on real tools hackers are using.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, it's about fundamentally changing the whole game. It's about finally moving away from this constant state of panicked reaction and toward a future of intelligent prediction.
Instead of desperately trying to patch thousands of potential holes, security teams can now focus their very limited time and resources on the specific weak spots that hackers are building tools for today. It finally answers that question. Of the thousands of unlocked windows, which one is the burglar actually walking towards right now?
And what's really cool is how this approach provides value for everyone. At the top, decision makers get these high-level strategic reports on risk. In the middle, the security operations centers get real-time info on potential attacks. And on the front lines, the analysts get the nitty-gritty tactical details they need to fight back.
And that leaves us with a final, and honestly, a pretty hopeful thought. For decades, cybersecurity has felt like this endless game of catch-up. But with AI like ATT&CK-Link, AI that can actually learn, understand context, and adapt, we might finally be shifting from a defensive crouch to holding up a proactive shield.